It's the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, the largest building materials company of cement and construction material products on the West Coast. Now, here's Chris Sylvester, the voice of the Mustangs.
Cal Portland presents another edition of the Mustang Insider as we roll along here into the month of December, and it is just so nice to have Cal Poly Athletics back. We got the men's basketball team going, women's basketball team going, and if there's a silver lining to playing such a wacky season, I think it's that both men's and women's basketball are probably getting way more non-conference games at home than they usually would. I guess the downside to that is we don't let the fans in and get them in on that in-person experience. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the streams on Big West TV back home. Our guest this week is one of the top young assistant coaches in all of college basketball. I thought Forbes was going to put him on the 30 under 30 list, but I guess he didn't make the cut. But he certainly is on every other list that you would need as a college basketball assistant coach. Justin Downer is with us. Coach, appreciate the time. Man, it's great to catch up with you here virtually, and it's been great to see you a little bit in person with the home games we've had these last couple of weeks.
Hey, there's no doubt about that. Anytime we don't have to leave San Luis Obispo, we should get a W on the schedule for that, right? And just not leaving the Central Coast should be a win.
Yeah, no question about that. You guys hosted Bethesda in the first game. You got a good home game against a really, really good San Francisco team and program. And you got a couple more WCC teams on the docket. And I know that everything is so day by day and really more hour by hour. We're seeing games across college basketball get canceled day of. And in some cases, we're seeing games get canceled within a few hours of the scheduled tip-off. And I know you've been a big part of Cal Poly men's basketball, their scheduling efforts. I mean, you look at the schedule that you guys worked so hard to put together way back in the spring before this hit. I mean, I remember talking to you guys last year when we were in North Dakota and Iowa and Nebraska, and you guys were like, man, don't get used to this. We're going to try and keep it towards the West Coast a little bit more. We're working on games. We pretty much have next year's schedule done already. And then boom, the pandemic hits. We didn't know if we'd even have a season. So I guess we don't really mind all the chaos with the scheduling. We're just happy to be playing. But on your end, I mean, how crazy have these last 3 weeks been with games that have fallen through and games that you've kind of had to add last minute?
Well, I think the biggest part is when you when you're scheduling, right? And Coach Smith and I and Coach Tension are kind of the ones that do it. And there's certain, I don't know what the right word is to use, but there's a way you go, right? Does Coach Smith want the game? Yes or no? Does he like the date? And then let's go talk to Don, our athletic director, or whoever we need to talk to. And it's a pretty quick process, right? That entire process is totally different on every game. Right now, we've got to check with the county on this, and so we think we're going to Portland, and it came back. You know, Cal Poly, you know, with all the stuff going on, you got to quarantine 14 days when you come back. Well, now, you know, 2 weeks later, you know, some of those options are there, and now we are cleared here. We're not cleared there. Hey, you know, you and I were just talking before this game time. I mean, we're negotiating game times now, right? Before it was like, yeah, whatever time you want to play, we're good. Let's keep it at night. And now it's like, well, there's a huge difference between a noon and a 2 p.m. tip. So those channels of it have been nuts. I mean, I was on the phone. We played Friday night. I was on the phone with New Mexico State at 6:30 a.m. Them telling me that they had a positive test. And then the next morning I'm on the phone at 8 a.m. in my bed, still trying to get a couple extra hours on a Sunday, and I'm taking scheduling calls from my bed. So it's a little different in terms of the process in which we're determining who we are and aren't playing on a game-to-game basis.
So with all the scheduling madness and obviously the Big West schedule is a little bit different this year, you guys add a couple teams to the conference, UC San Diego, CSU Bakersfield, first-time Big West members this basketball season. It's kind of hard to believe that conference play is supposedly just 3 weeks away. I mean, we just got the ball rolling with the season a couple of weeks ago, and I know you guys only have 2 games under your belt. You're hoping to have quite a few more by the time you hopefully opened up on the island against Hawaii, and that's not an easy trip to open up conference play with. But how have practices been a little bit different with this type of schedule, being that, sure, you got all the practice time before the season opener, but usually you have a much bigger window to kind of figure things out from the season opener and the conference opener?
Sure. I think what I've compared this season to a lot, I grew up in Seattle, right? And so in Seattle, there's seasons, and it's easy to identify when it's fall and when basketball season's coming around, and if it starts snowing, it's probably almost Thanksgiving. And you kind of, well, when I moved to California, there's no more seasons, right? There's summer, and then like kind of spring, and then back to summer. And so my first couple of years, it was like, wait, it's Thanksgiving. It's 83 degrees outside. Like, what are you guys talking about? It's kind of the same way for our guys, right? There's all, they've gotten used to, whether it's freshmen, whether it's the guys that are returning. You do the 5 weeks of summer, you do the 5 weeks of fall, you do the 2 to 4 weeks before your first, you get your closed door scrimmage, and there's just kind of this rhythm to it, right? Well, we're getting into the mid-November a few weeks ago, and there's no end of the tunnel. There's no what's next yet, right? We're supposed to go to Portland. Well, now that's not happening. Well, when is our next game? And so it's just a little mundane. I give our guys a lot of credit. They've showed up with a great attitude every day. You know, not all days are our best days, right? There's good days, there's bad days, but they've all put their best foot forward every single day. And it's really hard when you don't know what's next, when you don't know what you're preparing for, when your routine's different. And I think that's a challenge for a student athlete. And I think our guys have done a great job at making the most of that situation.
Justin Downer, our guest. He is an assistant coach on the Cal Poly men's basketball staff and the Cal Poly men's basketball team. Getting a lot of home games at Mott Athletics Center before Big West play begins. They got Santa Clara coming to town Wednesday night at 6. Then they got a couple of matinee games coming up within the next week. Got a Sunday 1 p.m.er here against San Jose State. And then we're hoping a week from Wednesday, San Diego. The Toreros, another good WCC program, will come here. You mentioned you're from the Pacific Northwest. Where did you start to find an interest in the game of basketball? You went on to play collegiately up north at William Jessup, an NAIA program just outside of the Sacramento area. And I guess I'm throwing three things at once at you, but I know you can handle it with everything you've had to deal with in the last month here. William and Jessup, I've seen them on a lot of D1 team schedules. Is that like the last NAIA team you want to face?
Hey, no, those are my guys, man. I got a lot of love for my William Jessup Warriors. Where I met my wife, man. So no, they're doing a great job. Their coach, Lance Von Vogt, he's hungry. He's willing to play anybody, anywhere, anytime. He just wants to get games. And I feel for that level. I played at that level. I coached at that level at Vanguard University. It's hard for them with the testing and stuff. And so what a better opportunity than to give those kids the best opportunity to play hoops they could ever ask for. And I think they played their 6th Division I opponent the other night. And so, they haven't got a win yet, but I have a ton of respect for those guys. As for me, I grew up North Bend, Washington, 30 miles east of Seattle, small town. Basketball was something I did very young, and probably started 5, 6 years old, but I had a feeling I wasn't going to take it very far. It went from I was going to play in the NBA to Division I, and then I was fortunate enough to play college basketball. But I actually coached my first team when I was 13 years old. I coached a group of 3rd and 4th graders when I was in 8th grade. So coaching something I knew was at the end of the tunnel when I was done fulfilling my God-given talents as a player, which wasn't much.
Justin Downer, that breaking down some of your experience and where you grew up and how you played at the collegiate level. Now, I want to pivot to a story that I'll have you tell, but you and John Smith first connected when you were at Riverside Poly High School. Is that correct, as an assistant coach there?
That's correct.
So if you could, explain those first couple of interactions with Coach Smith and what the process was like when you found out Coach was getting the job at Cal Poly. I think you were maybe the first assistant that was officially announced on his staff.
Yeah, I can't remember that part, how it went down. As for our relationship, so Coach Smith is a legend in Riverside, right? He is a Hall of Fame junior college coach at Riverside Community College. His kids grew up there. They were all good players in the area. Obviously, you guys know Jamal. His daughter Kiana's unbelievable player at Louisville. And so when it comes to Rivers, there's no rock unturned in Riverside that Coach Smith doesn't know about, right? And so I became an assistant coach there in 2015, and the guy I was working for, Yancey Dodson, great guy. He grew up with Coach Smith. And so they're the same high school class. They were rivals in the basketball community. And Coach Smith was coming to a practice to watch one of our Riverside Poly guys. We had a couple freshmen at the time that he wanted to check out, and we had a 6 a.m. workout. And the way we met was Coach Smith was watching the workout in our high school. Our head coach was just talking to him the whole time. And Coach Smith had asked him, he said, "Aren't you going to run the practice?" And the way Coach Smith tells it, he goes, "No, watch my guy take care of it." And from there, we developed a great relationship. I ended up working for West Coast Elite a couple months later, worked there for 3 years. He was recruiting guys in Riverside Poly with West Coast Elite. There were multiple flights where we sat next to each other on the plane on the way home from recruiting events, one specifically in Indiana where I was probably so annoying, just poking him on the shoulder, picking his brain. 5-hour flight. The guy's exhausted, been watching recruiting all week, and I'm like, "Well, who'd you like? Who didn't you like? What's your thought on this? What's your thought on that?" And so we just continued to develop our relationship, and was very, very fortunate that when he got this job, I was one of the guys that he called first, and I didn't hesitate, and I believe so much in Coach Smith, and there's not a guy I'd rather work for.
Now, you have a lot of experience at the high school level. Your collegiate gig before you got to Cal Poly was at Vanguard. What a quality NAIA program that is down in Southern California. I mean, they came in here and gave you guys all you could handle last season. But you're also a big time on the AAU scene with West Coast Elite. And there have been a lot of great – is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, West Coast Elite.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great players that have gone on to play at the collegiate level and even professionally that you've had a pleasure of working with. I saw you at the draft night party for Nico Mannion and Green out of Arizona. So your experience at that AAU level, working with some guys that are now playing professionally, how do you think that translates into dealing with these Division I collegiate players that you have to coach and deal with on a day-to-day basis at Cal Poly?
Yeah, I'd say it doesn't change. Obviously, the age changes, and so there's a couple different components. They're going through a different time in their life. They're a little, less moldable, right, than they are when they're 14, 15, 16 years old, and they've got more of a personality, and you got to know who each guy is. But for me, it's always been about serving our guys. And so when I was with West Coast Elite, my goal every day, and I told Ryan Silver, who does an unbelievable job on the West Coast, he's one of the best guys in the country at providing a platform for guys. But what I told him, I just want to serve, right? And so, but what serving's not is just kind of taking care of everybody, right? Sometimes in order to serve you, I'm going to have to tell you the truth. I'm going to have to coach you really hard. I'm going to have to tell you things that you might not want to hear, but I'm also going to have your back. And so in those ways, to me, that's what it really comes down to. And that's what I really like, about our guys. And we've got a bunch of guys that want to be told the truth. They want to be coached hard. And, anything I can do to serve those guys on a daily basis, whether that's, having them over to the house or getting an extra workout in with them, or telling them they're not getting it done, or giving them a pat on the back when it's a job well done. That's what it comes down to. And that doesn't change no matter if I'm coaching, to my guys that are getting drafted or, a JV player at Riverside Poly. It doesn't change in my opinion.
Let's talk a little bit about the team that you're coaching now. And I know last year you guys were really close in a lot of games in Big West Conference play. I'm sure there are a lot of teams that finish last in their conference and say, well, there are some games that could have gone our way, and unfortunately they didn't. That was really the case for you guys last year. I mean, there were so many games where you guys were right on the cusp against some of the best teams in the conference, and While that conference record read 4-12, it could have easily read something closer to 7-9 or maybe even 8-8. Obviously, a big turnover. I was doing some of the prep work for the Santa Clara game tomorrow. You're going to have 4 guys active that played in that game last year that are going to be able to suit up and play for you tomorrow night. And that comes with a lot of the freshmen that you have on the roster. A couple of guys that you're really missing are banged up, unfortunately. But small sample size, you've seen 2 games against a non-Division I opponent and then a Division I opponent that could very well be an NCAA at-large team if they continue to play the way they have. What are your takeaways from this group through 2 games in this unique circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, the Bethesda game, right? It's a different sample than San Francisco. In a game like that, what you're hoping your guys do is they come out and they do what they're supposed to do, right? And that's really the only way you can evaluate that game. And hopefully they shared it. Hopefully they played unselfishly, and hopefully they executed what we were trying to get done principles wise. I thought our guys did a great job in that game of coming out. They shared the ball. I mean, to put 100 points on the board, no matter who you're playing, I mean, that shows that you're playing the right way and you came and you handled your business. And so just super proud and super excited for them that they got to get that under their belt, especially the freshmen, right? They got to see the ball go through the hoop a couple times. And then USF came and we battled them in the first half, man. I mean, I thought we came out and I thought we were the aggressor early. I thought we executed our game plan early. And, you know, the wheels fell off a little bit in the second half. There's 2 runs in particular where San Francisco held us scoreless for a while and we couldn't stop them from the outside. And so, but what we're learning a lot about our new guys, right? We're learning a lot. I mean, we got freshmen that are, you know, they're really good some days, they're not very good other days. And we're learning a lot about how they tick and, you know, kind of what some of their strengths and some of their weaknesses are. And we're just learning how to play together, right? Like you said, we got 4 guys that are returning from last year's team. And so, you know, the upperclassmen are doing, I can't say how great of a job guys like Keith Smith, Mark Crow, Tuka Yukola, Hank Hollinsworth they're just doing such a great job of mentoring the guys. Even Colby Rogers and Kyle Colvin, who aren't seeing action right now, they're doing a great job of mentoring the guys. And there's a serious camaraderie there. And so, you know, what we're hoping to do is we're hoping to get better tomorrow night. And so we're hoping that whatever happens tomorrow, we're showing up, we're expecting to win. We believe we're going to win. And at the end of the day, we're going to improve as much as we can every day and see where the chips lie when that buzzer sounds.
I know you guys are all really encouraged by the freshmen, you know, from the day you signed them, got that verbal commitment to their arrival on campus and some of the bits and pieces of what we've seen from them through 2 games. In your mind, obviously, this is the way to build a contender at this level. I think we've seen UC Irvine do it with bringing in the 4 freshmen they had. What a run they had over the last 4 seasons. So there's different ways to build programs. Santa Barbara's kind of gone the transfer route. You see other mid-majors go that way. What's the blueprint for this Cal Poly program this year and beyond?
I think Coach Smith did a great job when we sat down. We finished the 2019 class and we looked ahead to 2020 and we said, what's this thing going to look like? And there's ways you can do it. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. And for us and what we believe about the community of Cal Poly to be, we want guys that want to be here and we want guys that are going to be here a long time and be around our community and around our staff and do that. And so to be able to get the freshmen that we got, we are really excited about those guys. And we think that they're going to be a group that has a chance to do things that are very special. And they've just got to keep getting better, right? But, you know, I think when we talk about the blueprint going forward is I think the seniors this year, I think, you know, the seniors started us off last year. Guys like Jamal Smith, Malik Harwell, Joe Alexander. I mean, those guys set the tone on what it takes to compete. They brought us through some battles. Now the seniors are doing, you know, a lot of the same this year. Hey, freshmen, this is what it looks like. And as it moves forward, that's what it's going to be. And I think as you watch us this year, our team is establishing the identity we finished establishing last year. I think there was times where we had a little bit of identity issues as we were trying to figure each other out as coaches and players, right? And so this year, there's no question about who we are, what we're trying to do. That it's the upperclassmen's job to help bring these guys along, and we can't wait to see how that continues to grow as these freshmen grow, and as some guys like Colby Rogers. I mean, how about Ali Karoma the other night? I mean, just 14 and 6 the other night in 18 minutes. I don't know if he had a game like that. I think he matched his career high in points in game 1, right? And I thought he could have played better. And so, with these freshmen and those two, and you add Kyle Colvin to that, and a guy like Tuka Yukola with the seniors we have, I think it's really promising. We're really excited about it, and we can't wait to just keep getting better every single day.
Justin Downer, our guest here on the Mustang Insider, presented by Cal Portland. He is an assistant coach in his second season on the bench for Cal Poly men's basketball. And Coach, I know that, and I know you're a very humble person, but, you've been able to get to this point in your career rather quickly compared to some of – Justin Downer, our guest on the Mustang Insider, presented by Cal Portland. Last thing for you, Coach. I know that you've gotten to this point in your career rather quickly. I mean, you're still south of 30 years old, and you've been at the AAU level, the high school level, NAIA, and here now on a Division I bench as an assistant at Cal Poly. And I know that anybody in any type of business in their late 20s or early 30s, if they're doing well, they're ambitious. Clearly, they work hard more times than not. That being said, are you enjoying this journey? Is this a journey that you have thoroughly enjoyed, and are you enjoying, every moment of it, soaking it up? Because, I think a guy like yourself, you look back on it, I mean, these are going to be the glory days, the good old days when you take a look back at it.
Listen, anyone that I talk to, I have to pinch myself sometimes. I mean, we live in San Luis Obispo, California. The people in this community that we get to play in front of, and an administration, and just a community that supports us like that we do, we're going to get it going. We're going to have success here. We believe that. And so I can't even explain how fortunate I feel to be here. I mean, I love being here. My wife loves being here. She works in San Luis Obispo as well. And so, I laugh at sometimes. I mean, we were talking about all these scheduling calls. Well, yeah, everyone's like trying to come here. Like, oh yeah, I'd love to spend a few days in San Luis Obispo. I said, I bet you would, And so we're so fortunate to have that. I don't know if I could ask for a better situation, work for a better guy in a better community. I'm a small town guy, man. It's like you took my small town in Washington and you put it by the beach, and it's like a dream come true for this guy. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, long-winded a little bit, but I love it here. I love being here. My wife loves it here. We love working for Coach Smith, and we are so excited to be a part of this program and for the future and just the present of where we're at and what we're building here.
And even if it's when we're old and gray, God willing, we get there, we got to call a game together. All right. You got to be my analyst one of these days.
Hey, I always tell people that, God bless Coach K's heart, man. The guy's 79 years old, coaching college hoops, chasing high schoolers around the country. See, at about, I don't know when it's gonna be, but there's gonna be a time where I'm gonna be. Hey, can I come? Can I be the color on the game with you? Because I mean, I'm just picturing myself, right? The kids are out of the house, whenever that is. That's a long time for me, but I watch a couple films a week, right? Maybe call 1 or 2 games a week, and I hit the links. So like that life to me doesn't sound so bad. I mean, Coach K, 79, God bless your soul, man, but I'm not doing it till I'm that old.
It's Justin Downer, our guest here. Coach, always great to catch up with you. Best of luck here the rest of non-conference play on and off the court. I know it's been so busy, and I hope nothing changes, but obviously we'd be surprised if nothing changed at this point. We're expecting change. And again, we appreciate your time. Best of luck. Let's get after it. Really looking forward to seeing you guys back out there.
Absolutely. We can't wait to get after it tomorrow night, baby. Go Mustangs.
Go Mustangs. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Talk soon.
All right. We're not quite done. Until we sign off for next week's show, we're going to tell you a little bit about this cool debit card. You see it there? That's pretty sweet. All right. So how do you get your hands on one? Well, you open a Cal Poly Mustang checking account today, and American Riviera Bank will donate $150 to support student athletes. Plus, get an exclusive Cal Poly Mustang debit card and Cal Poly checks. Visit arb.bank/Mustangs for more information. Also got something else to tell you about Mustang fans. Time is running out on this, but it's not too late. Do you have what it takes to ace the fan exam? Play the new live college sports trivia game presented by Captain Bill's Subs and hosted by Mike Golick twice a week now through December 17th. Put your knowledge to the test for a chance to win some great prizes. Sign up to play now at gopoly.com/fan-exam. All right, guys, we'll see you next week on the Mustang Insider.
This has been the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, with a commitment to environmental leadership that has made the organization stronger and is the primary choice of contractors. The Mustang Insider Show. The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation of the Cal Poly Sports Network.